Hey guys, and welcome to game number 29 out of 100 of the Mac vs. Machine series, where I'll be playing 100 games of Scrabble against the top online bot, HastyBot. The score currently stands at 18 to 10 in my favor. We're on a 7-game win streak, so things are going quite well lately. And let's see if I can continue that streak, or if HastyBot will turn the tables. HastyBot opens with Viddle for 26. I've got a decent rack here, very close to bingoing, but not quite gonna make it happen, I don't think. I need an A for fire pans or pan fries. I don't believe I have any 8s with the floaters at hand. So let's see, what are my options here? I could fish with something drastic, like literally just dropping an F for 9. This might not actually be too bad. I'll certainly look at that more, but do I have any non-bingo double-doubles through this I that might be worth playing? Let's see, what I usually do when I'm looking for these, so I need a 7. I'll sort of like go through each of the tiles on my rack and think if I don't use that tile, do I have any words? So like without the E, I'd have I, F, I, N, P, R, S, which doesn't make a 7. Without the F, I'd have spinier, inspire, and so forth. So nothing without an I or an N. Don't think there's any 7s without a P or an R and S. So no double doubles. And yeah, if I don't fish, then what are my best options for scoring? I definitely don't want to waste the S and play something with the Viddles. I guess I could play something like Finn. But I don't know. I mean, it only scores 10 more. I give up a decent chunk of bingo percentage, and I also give back a lot more. So I'm not normally a fan of one-tile fishes, but this one hits a lot. Like, I'm going to draw 7s with every possible vowel. N will give me pinners, T, terrans, R. Well, R would give me inspirer or printers at least. Like, I'm so likely to bingo. I think this has got to be good. Does FE versus EF really matter? Probably F to keep the Viddles hook open is going to be better for my bingo percentage, and also set up another S hook here. So let's play F. Okay, so we drew a P. So that should bingo with nippers or snipper. Question is where? Or snappier, I guess, through this A. So okay, we have nippers here, that's 73. Nippers here, 75. Or snappier, which is 70. So obviously the problem with nippers here is it gives back the big S hook, which could score a lot of points. Nippers here is reasonable, gives back an S hook as well, but that will cause a lot less damage. And then snappier is the most defensive of all of them, but of course has the drawback of scoring 5 or 3 less respectively. Snipper and F's just doesn't really make sense, because it scores less and also gives a lot back. I think I would probably be inclined to take the points, because I'm not going to really be going up that much, and I might be just as likely to draw an S as him, because I'm going to be playing off 7 tiles. So I don't mind a little bit of variance, I don't think. Let's go ahead and do that. Okay, so he gets down heating. And we didn't draw an S, but we have a decent rack. Probably just Cox here. Yes, does it? Yeah, that's 38. Cox here is 39, but it does block the snipper's hook, which now he's more likely to have, because he just played off 7 and I didn't draw it. So now I think blocking the snipper's hook definitely benefits me, because he's the favorite to hit it first. So probably just Cox here is fine. There is something to be said for saving the X in case I draw an I, which would yield a 60-point X-bomb. Problem is, what am I going to really do? I don't want to just play cow. I don't think that's worth it. I mean, the odds aren't even that high I'm going to draw an I. Funny play would be fishing off the F, or the X to go for 2 pence. Of course, that's cute, but it's not a good play since I'm not nearly likely enough to hit it. I guess there is this cheating hook, too, so I could play cow and keep the X. It's actually kind of interesting, because it keeps things more open, which I'm going to be playing from a little bit of a deficit, so that's kind of interesting. And I give myself a chance to hit this X-bomb for 60, and I also keep X plays here for next turn. So that's kind of an interesting idea, actually. It's worth considering for sure. Versus if I just play Cox, so 39, I'm going to be down a little bit. Keep Went instead of Next. This is definitely the safer play. Sort of just concedes I'll be at a little bit of a disadvantage, but certainly not in dire shape after this by any means. Cow is definitely a lot more of a higher variance play. A lot more upside, but a lot more downside if he hits snippers. Yeah, this is a tough call. I mean, my odds of drawing an eye if I play 3 tiles. So there's still 70 unseen and 6 eyes. So it's roughly 6 out of 70 times 3. So we're looking at, what, 18 out of 70? That's only like 25% chance of drawing an eye. That's not an exact calculation, but it's pretty rough. That just doesn't feel quite good enough. If it were 50% probably, but only a 25% chance of hitting the X-Bomb, I think I'm better off just being more conservative, playing Cox, and it turns out I wouldn't have drawn an eye anyway. So that was the right call. Just not quite good enough of a chance of hitting that play. Okay, I have spent a bit of time on those decisions, so I should probably play faster and just slap down Doeth for 49 here. That looks like it's going to be hard to beat. Don't love keeping the W, but, I mean, 49 points is 49 points. So this looks pretty forced. Don't have width, unfortunately, or anything using the W as far as I can tell. So let's go ahead and do that. He plays mid. So we're looking at a pretty close game. I can score well with Awoken for 42. Could also play Walk here to give back a little bit less. I do like playing off some more tiles. There's 2 blanks unseen, as well as 3 S's I'd like to get. And I'm not really winning, so I don't think I need to play too safely here. Oh, I have Kapow here, actually. Oh, that's a lot. Yeah, that's got to be worth it. That's 51. Glad I didn't miss that. That's definitely the play. All right, he plays Z in the corner. We have a blank. Are we bingoing? Fanigas. Yeah, we are bingoing here. Is that best? Do we have any other 7s? Almost have Fleabanes through this L and this A. Unfortunately, not quite. Pheasants? No, okay, let's go through the alphabet quickly. I don't see any other 7s. Maybe an 8 through this G. Not seeing it off the top of my head. I don't love Fanigas, given how much it gives back, but a bingo is still a bingo. There's no other great plays that seem worth forgoing the bingo for, which is sometimes an idea if you have the blank, but if I don't have anything else that looks strong, then I'm probably better off just bingoing. Yeah, we almost have like Fanagata through this G. Not quite. Fanfares. Probably nothing. Alright, let's go ahead and play Fanigas. Alright, he gets down Argument. He was definitely going to be bingoing there with that rec, regardless of what I did. Not the best draw for us. Love to have an S for Oviboss, which is a fun 6, but not going to happen here. Probably just Obia. I mean, VOO is not a good leave, but this is a pretty dreadful rack, and at least I can score 31 points and limit his options somewhat. I mean, this is going to be hard to beat, I have to imagine. Don't think I have anything to that T. Taboo doesn't work. Yeah, I mean, I just don't see how I'm going to do better than this. I'm going to go ahead and play it. Alright, pretty good draw for us. We're close to Moviolas with an I. Of course, there's no I's available. Basically a tie game. The pool, we actually have the last A, so it's a useful tile to have. There's another S unseen. Do we have anything through this OF? We have like Loof or Lufa. MV, though, together is not great. Anything through this T? Maybe Love At. It's not terrible. There's also Volost, which I don't love. It keeps the A, but gets rid of the S and also sets up a huge J-bomb, so I don't think that's a good candidate. Lovat is looking reasonable. I don't love parting with the A, but given it's the last one, it's not that big a deal. At the end of the day, it's an A, and it's not like that useful a tile. It's not like a case S or even a case E. So Lovat is probably the best thing I see so far. I do like just blocking this T and this N for good scoring plays. I have a pretty good rack, so I feel like if neither of us bingo, I should have a decent chance to grind this out on this board. Anything through this N? I don't see it. Vinyl? No, that's terrible. Yeah, probably just Lovat is fine here. Don't think there's anything else. So yeah, I'm going to go ahead and do that. Hopefully he doesn't bingo. He doesn't. He plays Whiny. And we have Simius. S-I-M-I-O-U-S. Not going to go down. This is one of those wrecks where if your bingo doesn't play, it kind of sucks, unfortunately. Huh. Alright, well the good thing is we did get the other S. So maybe now I can just... I don't love MUS because it gives back some plays here with like EG or ET. IIOS also not such a good leave. I put like Sumi maybe, S-U-M-I. I don't have anything through this OF that looks good. And I could, how about a setup? How about like, no I can't do AIM, how about like AIM? I don't know, the problem is, I just don't think with this leave I'm scoring enough to make it worth it. It's kind of interesting, though. Maybe Nim? Huh. Maybe Nim. I'm just not sure that it's worth it for that point sacrifice, given I don't have great tiles to capitalize on the setup. Just really not a huge fan of MUS. This leave is quite weak, and I give back pretty good plays for him next turn. Nim. Problem is, like, with SSIOU, like, if I don't draw a bingo, I'm just not really scoring that much there. So I'd probably rather play AIM, but again, I mean, the upside just isn't that large. Yeah, I don't know here, guys. This is pretty clunky. Still, I need to move, too. I'm down to 2 minutes. I haven't been able to generate an option I'm particularly happy with. I'd love to get rid of, like, IUO or something, but it's going to be easier said than done. I mean, AIM, I guess it's actually pretty annoying for him to block. Now that I look at it, he'd have to sacrifice a lot of points. Maybe this is the right play, because even if I can't hit it this turn, it's going to be... I can sort of fish for a better play. Yeah, you know what? I'm going to go for it. Okay, yeah, this is going to work out, because he plays Grueler, and I'm going to hit Soju, which empties the bag. I don't love it, but it's too many points. The question is actually Soju or Sojus? You know, it may be worth spending the S, because the 6 points, I'm going to be up 27. Yeah, I think it's worth spending the S, because the 6 points are going to be useful in the endgame, and the S isn't that great on this board. So having fewer tiles should just let me play out more easily in 2. So I think I'm actually going to play the S to leave myself fewer tiles in the endgame, just because there aren't a lot of S hooks or good places to play. So let's play Sojus. We I think I'll be okay here. INT. Surprised he didn't have anything better than that, but maybe I guess there's just not a lot of places to score. If I just play Koof, I'm probably fine, right? I mean, where is he going to go out with INT for a lot? Or is he even going out with INT at all? Now that I look at it. I'm down to 30 seconds. I guess he's going to play tie-in. I could block that, but I'm not confident enough he doesn't have another out, and I don't want to risk the win on it. So I think I'm just going to play Koof. That'll easily outrun anything he has. Yeah, okay, so that was probably his only out. Maybe could have played something there to block it and gotten more spread. Probably just Gyri would have been better. But I guess then he can just play off, and then I don't have Koof. So I don't know. In any case, a good win for us, 442 to 419. Ended up being sort of a grind at the end. Neither of us could just could quite pull what we needed for the bingo. I feel like I handled that pretty well. I think aim was the most interesting turn of the game for me. It certainly worked out. I'm not entirely convinced I didn't miss something better there that would have been worth playing over the setup, but let's take a look. So, okay, going back to the beginning, Vidal looks solid for him. Yeah, Finn ranks a little higher on static. I think it's 11 more points, but my bingo percentage is going to shoot down drastically with only keeping the single vowel, so EF, as I went through during the game, this bingo is probably 70% of the time next turn. It hits with every vowel, all of the common consonants in the bag, so it looks quite strong. I'm perfectly good with it. Cotty, yeah, you could play Cot too. I actually would. Normally, I don't like the extra constant, but the D is a good tile here because of Viddled and Deaf. Also, just scores 4 more points and doesn't give back. It's not a big deal to give back this X spot because I obviously didn't have the X after a 1-tile fish. So there is some merit to that maybe if you can pick up the X, you'll go here. And the extra consonant is kind of clunky. So, yeah, alright. I guess I'm pretty likely to bingo, too, after F, and it's better to have a more flexible leave to hopefully bingo back. And if I bingo, I may be going in this spot anyway and taking with the D-hook. Alright, yeah, you know what? Maybe Cotty. That extra constant does kind of make the rack tough to work with, so Cotty seems fine. Yeah, I saw all the options here. I ultimately decided that, I'd rather just grab the points. I'm not going to be really taking the lead at all because it'll be his turn. So, the 5-point sacrifice for Snappier is reasonable. I wouldn't fault someone for doing that. It's certainly the more cautious play, but I felt I had almost as good a chance as him at picking up the S, given that I'll be turning over 7 tiles. He just played 3. Of course, he could have easily picked one up on Viddle as well. So if you look at the total turnover, it's like 9 versus 7. So maybe he has a slight edge, but not that much of an edge. So I figured it was worth a shot for the extra points, and I don't mind an open board. Now, after the next turn, when he bingos with Heating, it's a very different story, because now he just turned over 7 tiles for an S, and I know I don't have the S, so if I play something down here, like Cox, and I'm only turning over 3 tiles, he's now the very heavy favorite to hit this spot. So I think I like blocking it. Didn't look at Wax, but CENOT, it's just not that good a leave on this board because it doesn't work well with the N as a floater, or really the P or the G. It works okay with the I, but I don't think my bingo percentage is large enough to justify that. I didn't look at Exiton either, but W is pretty gross as a leave. Gives him easy, cheap X plays here as well, so not a fan of that. I think it's probably between Cow and Cox, and I just felt I'm scoring 9 more immediate points. Like I discussed during the game, I'm not that likely to draw an I, probably only like 25%. So my chances of hitting the 60-point Nix or Tix next turn just don't seem quite large enough to justify this immediate sacrifice in both score and also positional play. So I think Cox is fine here. He had a rough rack. Owlick looks pretty good. Dewith, yeah, I guess Who is fine too. But DENT has decent bingo potential here, but I think 12 points is just a little bit too much to give up in a close game. Also, I do play off a few more tiles for the blanks, which is nice. DENT is one of those leaves where if I don't bingo immediately, I'm probably not going to be scoring much. So I'm good with this approach. Mib, I would have gone Zombie here. Not so much just for the 2 extra points, but I think the Z is more of a liability than an asset at this point. There's not a lot of good Z spots on this board, really. There's nowhere to play it for more than, like 20, 30 points. That's guaranteed or likely next turn after after Mib, I'm pretty likely to use this spot. So saving ZA just doesn't really seem that exciting. I would rather play Zombie and try to bingo. There's a lot of good stuff unseen, and it just seems like a more low variance and reliable approach than hoping I'm going to give him a big Z play. So I would have played Zombie here. But okay, he plays Mib. Almost missed Kapow, but glad I saw it, as it's quite clearly the best play here. It just scores way too many points to really think about anything else. He does get Zed, which looks really strong. 45, AE, and blank. Can't really complain about that. Okay, Fanigas was the only bingo, so that's clearly correct. Argument for him, probably fine. I mean, he's going to be playing from a slight deficit because it'll be an even game in my turn. So I don't mind a little volatility here. I think this is fine. Just score the most he can. Oh, I didn't say Boo. Yeah, that's... yeah, probably a little more solid, because OOV is really rough, and AIOV, it keeps an extra vowel, but it's actually just more workable and has better synergy. There's also a little bit of a disparity here. There's more consonants than vowels, so keeping 3 vowels and 1 consonant isn't the worst. And yeah, the 2 O's and the V are just so hard to work with together, so it is a 6-point sacrifice, but Boo may be a bit better, just to give myself more flexibility for the next turn. So probably a small mistake, but certainly nothing major. Obaya is not a bad play by any means. He plays Peony. That looks fine. I don't like Youth, because EEL and R with E and N being 2 of the floaters, you're not that likely to bingo next turn, and I'd rather... you could easily win this game without a bingo if you're him, right? You're going to be tying the game, you just be down a tempo. So if you draw good scoring tiles and I didn't get anything good, you do not need to lock yourself into bingoing. So I'd rather play Peony, keep a leave that's sort of, good for both bingoing and potentially scoring. You either get good bingo tiles and bingo, or you could get good scoring tiles. Whereas EEL and R, you're really more just locking yourself to the bingo approach, which I don't think is necessary. So I'm good with Peony. I'd be fine with Elytron too. I don't mind, though. You're still at a little bit of a deficit, so I don't mind keeping this open. I think both are perfectly fine. Yeah, Love Out looks good. Didn't like Vinyl at all. Keeps an extra O. So at least blocks the best scoring spot. I'm hanging on to a small lead. I've got a good lead, so seems alright. And Whiny, don't love EULR, but Dowry, Winery isn't... Maybe Winery. There's still 3 R's left, so I don't think the R is that important to keep. It's generally a constant heavy pull, so I'd rather score the extra 2 points, give yourself another shot at the S's, and probably will actually just lead to a more balanced leave. Having 2 R's and a U is gross, so I would shed the R and play Winery here if I were him. Yeah, I saw Sumos, which maybe I should have just done. I wasn't a big fan. I missed Miso, that's also an option. I wasn't a big fan of getting rid of both of my S's since they're the last 2. So I guess if I play Sumos, then what? I'm up 29 on this board. Which is a pretty good lead. And it's not a good leave, though. I mean, it could be worse given this pool that's constant heavy, but there's all those R's, and I mean, racks like IIRR are gross, and it's going to be so hard to dispose of those tiles or score, so I do risk getting outrun if I get a bad draw. Like if he plays something like Jerry here and ties the game, or Croft, like there's still ways for him to score. It's definitely advantaged me after Sumos, but I don't know. I felt like after AIM, it's really tough for him to deal with this. He could bingo, of course, through this E. It's pretty unlikely though. There's some good bingo tiles, but there's a lot of clunk out there. There's a J, there's 2 Gs, there's 4 Rs. It's actually pretty unlikely he's going to bingo through this E. And it's not easy for him to deal with this setup. Or if he does deal with it, he's going to have to sacrifice a lot of points. Like, I mean, he could play... I mean, I don't even know. He could play, like, ER. But if he plays ER, that's fine with me, because then he's basically wasted a turn also. And then that'll give me the next crack at using some of these other spots on the right-hand side. And if he decides not to deal with it, then I also felt like I don't have to worry about him using it, obviously. There's no more S's unseen. And I don't even necessarily have to use it next turn. I can sort of keep fishing for something there. And I just felt like it gave me a really good initiative for the rest of the game. Because it's still a tie game, and I'm just going to be threatening big plays there for quite a while. So I think this is reasonable. Sumo's is also reasonable. It's a very different kind of approach. Both of them put me in pretty good shape. Sumo's maybe is a little bit lower variance, but aim certainly worked out in the game, and I think it's a pretty cool idea. So I'm fine with that. He plays Grueler. Yeah, and this is sort of what I was getting at with aim. I mean, he really can't block this other than by playing something late like ER. And then if he does that, I'm just going to have a good crack at using this spot, or probably using the Lovette spot next turn. So, yeah, I mean, I don't know. This is a rough position for him. He's got to know I have both S's after aim. And this was sort of my goal. It just really puts him in a tough spot. Because, I mean, what's he going to do here? Like, ER is so bad, and he's in such a bad position knowing I have both S's, even if he blocks this spot, because I'm just going to have better flexibility and scoring potential than him going into the endgame. Yeah, Soju versus Soju is kind of interesting. The 6 points is important, because I'm not going up that much in the endgame, and I want to make sure to be able to outrun things like Croft here. So I think the S doesn't give me that much value in the endgame. There's not a lot of good places for it, and this way I have more of a chance of playing out quickly without an extra tile, and those 6 points are definitely important. So I think Soju's is probably perfectly fine here. I clearly need to play either Soju or Soju's and empty the bag, so I think I want to just score as many points as I can. I doubt he has a win here. Let's see. Yeah, no. Because, I mean, none of these plays block Koof. And he really doesn't have a good way to block Koof. That's the problem for him. And, I mean, that's going to score 27. Yeah, I'm going to be up 60 after that. He's going to need to net, like, 54 in 2 turns, which is clearly impossible with this low-scoring Iraq. Yeah, something like Often, it doesn't work, because I'm still going to have decent plays other than Koof, I have to imagine. Like, even if he plays, like, Often, threatening to go out next turn, he's just down too much. And even if I don't have a good play other than Koof, I mean, even if I just play, like, Corey for 18, I'll have more than enough to win. So, yeah, he definitely can't win here. So, yeah, Koof looks fine, and then I guess I could have probably blocked this way. But in any case, pretty well-played game, I think, on my part. A couple interesting decisions. Cox was questionable. I think it was right, but it was definitely questionable. Aim was also questionable, but I think reasonable. Obaya, probably a small mistake, but would have been a little bit better. But overall, happy with this game. Nice to keep the winning train going here. And, yeah, I think that's all there is to this one. So thanks for watching, everyone, and I will be back soon with game number 30. Bye-bye.